Why are men so weird about shaking my hand? I first noticed this when I was around age 15 and was introduced to an older man that my sister worked with at the time. He was a pastor or a deacon or something. He reached out to shook my dad's hand. So I reached my hand out as well. Everybody laughed and he made a snide comment about me being eager. At 21, while visiting a family member's Christian church, a man came over and shook my dad's hand. I reached my hand out again, and he scoffed and said, "Let me shake his hand first." Shook my now husband's hand, and then regretfully said, "Okay, now I guess I can shake yours." Just a few weeks ago, my husband and I were meeting up with some of his distant relatives that I'd never met before and he'd only met a few times. The male cousin in his 40s, Mormon, reached out and shook my husband's hand. So I instinctively offered mine as well. He laughed and let out a surprised "oh" before shaking mine. Is this a religious thing? A misogynistic thing? I'm sure this has happened to me more than these 3 times. But these are the ones that really stand out to me. Why is it so weird to shake a woman's hand? That is definitely a religious thing. I hate when men don't fully shake my hand. Just barely grab it. I was taught to have a firm handshake and some men are even surprised by it. Though I did learn with older women I need to be softer because I did my regular handshake once and she wouldn't stop complaining about her hand hurting no matter how much I apologized. Is this a religious thing? A misogynistic thing? It's both. I fist bump everybody. More sanitary and it's universal. Is this a religious thing? A misogynistic thing? Yes. You didn't have to say it twice. I've found older men will often just delicately hold my hand instead of shake it. I guess they think they are being chivalrous, but it's just weird. I've also had men shake my hand so hard I needed physical therapy to recuperate. No need to squeeze it so hard you hear cracking. But I suppose it's a power move and that feels good to some men. My daddy taught me to shake hands like a man. That unnerves men. Ah yes, religion and misogyny, they go hand in hand. Honestly, I've noticed it and taken it as a good reason to not touch a man's hand. The majority of them don't wash their hands after peeing, so just thinking about secondhand penis touch really grossed me out. What really grinds my gears is when they shake the other men's hands but try to hug me. You won't extend your pee hand but you'll grab me tightly. Hell no. Shaking hands is a sign of respect from a man to another man, and you holding out your hand makes men feel that you think you're their equal. They do not think you are. And they do not want to shake your hand. I hold out my hand for a shake every time I meet a man. Just to watch them try not to shake it. It's really fun. Where I come from, if a woman extends her hand for a handshake, a man should never refuse it. If a man extends his hand to shake a woman's hand, that's rude and demanding. She is perfectly at liberty to refuse. This works in business. But too many men presume that women want to shake their hand. It's a courtesy and there is no first or second handshake protocols. How rude to laugh at you. Or refuse to shake your hand. You are worthy. But consider that they might not be if that's how you're treated. Gendered greetings. It's a complicated thing. Growing up, I cis male was always given a handshake. And then maybe a hug from male family members. From women, I would give and receive a hug. And maybe a kiss on the cheek. I imagine my experience is not unique. I guess a lot of men are not used to shaking a woman's hand outside of a corporate professional setting. I actually really appreciate when a woman extends her hand for a handshake. It makes things less complicated. Also, I'm not always trying to hug someone I just met. And I don't want them to feel pressured to hug me. Or do anything else other than say hello for that matter. I've had more guys kiss my hand rather than shake it. Both, probably. Big religions tend to be based on misogyny, that's kind of their thing. Ha ha ha. I so relate. I shake a lot of hands in business and get, wow, that's quite a handshake. A lot. I just shake hands like men do. I get a lot of men refuse to shake my hand too and instead grab my fingers. I'm from Texas. My dad taught me how to give a firm handshake and look people in the eye. Why is that weird? Because I'm a woman. That's the respectful way to greet people, emo. Shaking hands is a sign of respect. And simply put, you are a woman. And they do not respect you. The scoffing and chuckling surprise is because you offering your hand to shake is like if a dog or something tried to pretend to be a person. I mean, they may love that dog, but it's pretending to be a person and an equal. Isn't that cute and funny? It is misogyny to its core. And an insult. If this were a couple centuries ago between men, this type of grave insult would probably result in violence. Fuck those men with a cactus. Yep. I work in a male-dominated industry. I've learned to find it funny. So I go out of my way to shake hands with people when I meet them. Just enjoy how uncomfortable they are. My theory is that when you shake hands you are equals. They might not even realize it. But men don't see us as equals. At best we are to be protected. At worst we are barely better than pets. So yay. I'm going with misogyny. The worst is in a professional situation when the men shake each other's hands and then try to give me a fucking hug. Like really? Hugs are great among friends and in social contexts, but with someone you've just met in a professional context, even as you shake hands with the men? The fuck? Is this a religious thing? A misogynistic thing? Most likely both. TBH. But dudes can be extremely weird about this shit even without the religious trappings. You ever stick out your hand to shake and some guy you don't know pulls you in for a hug? Fucking uncomfortable as hell. I male. Gen Xer finds shaking hands to be impossibly atavistic and larded with all sorts of weird baggage. And yes, it seems to be more a thing amongst the socially and religiously conservative. I move in professional circles where there are a lot of women leaders. And handshakes between the sexes are very common. The whole shake husband's hand before yours thing is deeply strange. I'd be perfectly happy if handshakes went away forever. A handshake is a way to signal respect and acknowledge someone as a person. And well, men just don't see us that way. Offering a handshake forces them to face their lack of respect for women in front of others. Religious? Yes. Misogynistic? Yes, and it is tied in with the religious aspect. My experience with this is that men despise the offer of a hand because they want a hug. This mostly happens with older, single, straight men, who relish every good excuse to press a woman's body close to theirs and call it friendly. Some have said this to me outright, that they wanted a hug, not a handshake. I think it's both misogynistic and somewhat religious. Overall conservative. Many of my non-religious relatives act the same. Men shake hands regardless of age, but no one offers women nor old female relatives initiate. I think shaking hands is considered as a greeting between relatively equal people, compared to bowing or inclining head. Therefore, men who consider women as inferior feel awkward when they have to shake hands with one. Besides, men are expected to introduce other people and lead conversations when two groups meet. Both religion and misogyny love skipping through the fields with their arms interlocked. Christianity is a brain cancer closely related to the brain cancer that is conservatism. I think this is a Christianity thing. Or maybe specific to your denomination. Your experience is so depressing to read.